This is
Oh,
my first Zoom meeting I've ever had.
oh, I see. That's interesting. I had quite a few because I was going to school during the pandemic. I was in
Oh,
university, so
do you live?
I'm in Kenya, East Africa.
Oh,
Yeah.
because when you sent me the time, I was like, I don't know what GMT is, so I had to look it up.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh,
Um, okay, so do you want to start by telling us a little bit about yourself and your blog?
yeah. Well, my name's Rick, and I started my blog AI Story Weavers. When I first started, it was for because I was doing art, AI art. I found it, so I was using Night Cafe and just doing art. And then somehow or another, somebody told me about using AI to help write stuff. So then I started doing that, and that's when I really got into the writing the stories that I write
Right.
using the AI to help me.
And when did you start blogging?
About well, I've had blogs for several years, but this is the first one I've had that I feel confident about.
Okay.
I've had several unsuccessful ones, but this one I really am enjoying. So I think this might be the one that I keep going on.
That's really great. So, uh, as someone you wrote on your blog that you work in healthcare, so as someone who works in healthcare, how do you find the time to write and blog as well?
But during the pandemic, I was traveling for my job. I'm a respiratory therapist,
Right.
and I traveled all over the country, helping hospitals that were understaffed. And then towards the end of the pandemic, I'd been gone from home for like 9 months. I hadn't seen my family in almost a year, and I was offered a job closer to home, and it's a really easy job where basically I sit there and write all night long. That's what I do. I'm just there for emergencies.
Okay.
So 8 hours a night at work, I can write.
That's
Makes
really,
it really easy.
yeah. So as you mentioned, you use AI in your work, like to create the images and things like that. So do you think AI can be a useful tool for content creators or creative people in general?
It's really helped me, and I use it for pretty much everything. I come up with an idea, usually from reading the news or something. I come up with this neat idea, and then I go to AI and I say, give me some story ideas based on this concept, and it'll give me 10 story things, and I'll look through and find one I like. And then I'll ask AI to create the outline for me, and I've got a whole form for the outline that I want of how many chapters and everything, and it just fills in the blanks, and then I write from there. And I use AI for all the editing because I'm too poor to pay a beta reader or an editor, so I have to use AI for everything.
That's a good point. I think it can be a more affordable alternative for a lot of people.
Yes.
Yeah. So you also mentioned on your site that you're working on a book right now. So do you want to tell us a little bit about your book and what got you inspired to write it?
This was actually something I'd been thinking about when I first started traveling. But during the pandemic here in the United States, it's like it seemed like every other week I was hearing about how the states were going to leave the country because the pandemic was wiping us out.
Yeah.
So I started thinking about that. I'm like, well, what if we didn't have a vaccine and the economy here collapsed? What would that look like if the states actually seceded, left the country? So that was the original idea. So I wrote the first story in the. It's going to be a series. The
Yeah.
first story in the series is almost finished. So it'll be finished on the 25th, and then I've already got the idea for the next one, and I'm going to start that probably next week. But I
That's
put everything on my blog. I don't sell anything. I
yeah,
just put them up one chapter a day. That's how I do it, and people can come read it.
that's really interesting. I studied history in university, and I like a lot of what I studied was American history because I was studying in Canada. So like I think American history is like very popular there. So basically, like, I think that's such an interesting premise because, like, that's something I thought about. Like, what if that happens? That would be very interesting to see.
Yeah. Well, one of the questions when I was doing the research that I asked the I used to play a game called World of Warcraft. I don't know if you've heard of that,
Yeah, I
but
have.
in the game, like several years ago, they had some kind of like zombie virus, but they when they entered it into the game, they did it wrong, and it like killed the whole population. So actual epidemiologists did a study on real life pandemics if it goes out of control. So I asked the AI to give me the cliff notes for the study, and that's what I based the story
That's really interesting. I think if anyone is interested in reading the story, which I think you should check out the content he's writing and the chapters he's putting out there, it will be linked on my blog, on YouTube, on Spotify, everywhere. So if anyone's interested, do check out the description or on my blog post. Um, what advice would you give to other writers out there?
on. I don't know that I'm really qualified to give any advice, but what I do is I found that one website that this is kind of my go-to for help, and it's called the Nerdy Novelist. And I went to that. It gave me a he's got a template for an outline, which I took and created for myself. You know, I changed it and made it what I wanted it to be. And then he's also got like certain prompts you can ask the AI to help you to get the story linear, you know, where it follows the correct steps and all that. And so I do all of that, and I just write, and it really helps me. But if I was going to give any advice, I would just say that you have to study a lot and you have to just do it. The more you do it, the better you get. I have noticed from the first story I wrote to the one I'm writing right now, there's a huge difference in the way that it's reading,
Mhm.
which I'm really proud of.
Yeah, that's really great. Yeah, I agree. I think writing is like one of those things like where it's a knife you gotta keep sharpening, otherwise you're gonna lose your touch.
Right.
Yeah. Um, so uh let's move on to some more fun questions to keep things a bit interesting for the listeners. So if you could learn any skill instantly, what would it be?
I, I would love to be able to play an instrument and be in a band. I just don't can't do that. I can't sing for anything. But you know, if I could play an instrument and sing and be in a band, that would be fantastic. That'd be fun for me.
That would be really great. That's a really good skill to pick. Okay, the next one is what is your favorite simple pleasure?
Me and my girlfriend watch a lot of TV and movies, so it's really the because I work night shift, I work overnight all night long. So on the weekends when I'm off, we watch a lot of TV, and it's really the time that we get to spend together. And so that's my guilty pleasure is spending time with her, watching TV or movies, or getting something to eat or whatever.
Yeah, that's really nice. As a writer and a reader, what book changed your life?
I thought really long and hard about that, and when I was too young to read, my mom used to read to me all the time. So I would have to say that the books that she was reading to me are the ones that really got me into reading. And then I started reading the Hardy Boys in grade school, and I really liked them. You know, it's a series of books.
Yeah,
And so I just, every time a new one came out, I bought it. I've still got the whole collection. It's like 50 books. They've written like 50 more after that. But like the original 50, I've still got the hardcover in my collection that I read in grade school. I've got a really nice book collection.
that's really great. Wow. Um, and finally, what is one hobby you would like to try that you don't already do?
I really don't know how to answer that, to be honest. I don't know. I just don't know how to answer that. I don't know.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah. I think for me, the one hobby would be just like working out. Like I've never done that. Like I've never really worked out as a hobby, so that'd be like interesting.
Oh, I misunderstood you. I thought you said quality hobby. What hobby do I like?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I, I used to like riding a motorcycle. I sold it,
Oh,
but hopefully I'm going to be able to get another one sometime in the future. But I used to really enjoy, riding my motorcycle with my friends, and I really enjoy reading. For me, when I'm alone, I either watch a TV show that my girlfriend don't like, or I read, or I write, and that's really my hobbies. That's what I do. I've almost always got an audiobook going, and even when I'm writing, I listen to an audiobook.
oh,
And
okay. Wow.
so, somehow it makes my creative juices flow if I can hear somebody else being creative. It kind of gives me a leap into their thoughts and how I could, emulate that.
That's really great. What are you reading at the moment, or what was the last thing you read or listened to?
Right now, I'm reading a series called The Lost Chambers, and it's a science fiction series about, it's kind of alternative history, which is what I enjoy. And it's about these chambers all through the world that ancient peoples have set up with artifacts from the Lost Library of Alexandria. And you have to follow these clues and get to these chambers. And it's really interesting. So that's what I'm reading right now.
That sounds really interesting. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to share with my readers that we've not talked about yet?
Yeah, come read my blog. Leave a comment. I don't get any comments. I would love for somebody to leave constructive criticism, or anything, just to kind of help me. It would
Okay.
really be helpful if somebody could say, this is an interesting story, but did you think about taking it this way?
Yeah.
And give me something to think about.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, you guys heard him. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna link his site. So go over, leave a comment. Make sure you tell him you're from Lifestyle Wine. Yeah, make sure you leave a comment. Like anything constructive would be helpful. I think writers love it when people help them with their content and give constructive criticism. So yeah.
Yeah, and all the stories on my site have their own category. So if
Mm-hmm.
you just click on a category, it'll take you to all the chapters in that story.
Right, yeah, that's great. So I think it'll be really easy for them to find whatever they're interested in, whichever story they want to start reading. So that's really great.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah. So thank you so much for being here and answering my questions. You did a really great job with it. I really appreciate it. Um, yeah.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you offering me the interview. I'm glad I found the website, signed up, and I really enjoyed this. And hopefully you can get some traffic, and I can get some traffic, and I can get some readers.
Yeah, I really hope so. Yeah, that would be amazing. And I hope you can come back another time and we can chat some more. That would be really great.
Yeah, I would love to do that.
Okay.
Will you send me the link so I can put it up on my site when you publish?
Yeah, as soon as it's gonna go up, I'll let you know. I'll let you know when what date it's scheduled for, and then when it goes up, I'm gonna make sure to send you the links to everything so you can share it as well as you'd like.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Okay.